disappears. Now here, and now here, I stand undefeated when Jesus is near. Now here, and now here in His presence, my shame disappears. Now here, and now here, I stand undefeated when Jesus is near. Yeah, and I see joy rising, I hear hope calling, I see fear hiding, I hear chains falling, I see walls shaking, I hear doubt running. 'Cause my God's on His way, yes He is coming. I see joy rising, I hear hope calling, I see fear hiding, I hear chains falling, I see walls shaking, I hear doubt running. 'Cause my God's on His way, yes He is coming. My God's on His way, my God's on His way, my God's on His way, yes He is coming. My God's on His way, my God's on His way, my God's on His way, yes He is coming.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. And all my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, and in darkest night you are close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. Oh, all my life, you have been faithful. And all my life, you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I will sing. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. So I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
What is up, Brick Church? Welcome to Live at 5. We're so stoked that you're here. Right now is the perfect opportunity for you to go ahead and tag somebody, like, share, comment, get the family around the screen so that we can worship together in this moment. You see, if you're new with us here at TheBrick.Church, what we have are things we call core values. And what a core value is it's a statement that drives the identity of who we want to be as a church. And one of my 4 favorite core values is that we will do anything short of sin to reach people who don't know Christ. And to reach people that no one is reaching, we'll have to do things that no one is doing. You see, one of the best ways we get to do this as a church is something we call At the Movies. And that is starting in July. And what At the Movies is this crazy event that we get to be a part of, where what we do is we take blockbuster movies and we use those movies to communicate truths that we find in God's Word. But it isn't just that the message is unique and special and fun and life-giving, but when you show up to church in person, you walk in and there's a lobby completely decked out. It's completely set up to take you on to what would feel like a movie set. And this year we're building a city. And if you want to know what that looks like, you've got to come in person and come see and be a part of that. But to build a city takes a team. And what we believe is, as a family, we should all be a part of that. And what I would love to do is invite you to come be a part. You see in the description, you can click on a link. And what that link is going to do is going to take you to the place to where you can sign up to come be a part of that build week. But maybe you can't come and be in person, which is one of the reasons you're tuning in online. Then my challenge to you would be very simple. It is to share and invite like crazy at the movies. Any post that you see on social media, anything you see us putting out, get that to the people you know so that we can watch God do what he does every year in July. And that's changed lives like crazy. You see, the most hands we see all year take place during that month. And so I want to say thank you so much for being a part of that. And let's invite like crazy to watch God do something special this year. Now's the moment in our experience where we receive our tithes and offerings. And what I want to do is say thank you, because your generosity creates moments like this where we're able to come together and worship God without walls, but it's also giving us the ability to be the actual hands and feet of Jesus throughout the community. You see, this week we had a really cool opportunity where we got to meet a lady and fill up her gas and give her some groceries and really meet her physical needs today in this moment. And it's your generosity every week that creates the space to where as a church we can be more than just words, that we can be hands and we can be feet. And so what I want to say is thank you. Thank you for trusting God. Thank you for partnering with the finances. Thank you for helping the Brick Church be the beacon of hope that we believe God has always called it to be. If you're ready to give, we've got a real simple way you can do that. What you can do is you can text the phone number that's on the screen. And that's going to link you to a credit card, a debit card, or a bank account. But however you give, we say thank you so much for being a part of the mission to change the world. Now, right now, we are going to wrap our series up, Chasing Wholeness, with our lead pastor, Jared Callahan. Let's check it out.
Welcome to the final week of Chasing Wholeness. If this looks a little bit different to you, it's because it is different. We're not actually meeting in person on this weekend. So this weekend, it's only church online. So you get to join the rest of your church family if you're used to catching us at Live at 5 with Chasing Wholeness, our final week. And what we want to talk about this week ties into why we're not meeting in person, and that is rest. We didn't have anybody in the building meeting for Chasing Wholeness week number 6. We had everybody take a break. All of our volunteers that make church happen, all the leaders and pastors that make church happen and pour their lives out every single weekend to make this thing happen are taking a break this weekend. And so we want to challenge you to learn how to rest. That in chasing wholeness, we chase hope and we chase a healthy church and we chase healthiness in our life, emotionally, physically. And today I want to challenge you to be purposeful about chasing rest. I want you to be purposeful in your effort to prioritize rest in your life, because God sets up that example already at the very beginning. Genesis 1, he sets it up. He starts talking about all the days and all the work and how he loves the work that he gets to do. And then on the 7th day, he rests. And if God is called to rest, then shouldn't we emulate what God does? God challenges us to rest. And so in the Old Testament, it's one of the 10 commandments. It's like a priority thing is to have a Sabbath day, one day that you just rest. And it goes through the whole list. Like not only you, but you need to make sure everybody in your household, even your animals, learn how to rest. That's really crucial in a agricultural society. You can just burn through all of your animal and all of your animals and all the people in your household working, trying to make sure that you've harvested and make sure you're planting and watering and doing all of those things well. And before you know it, you look up and you haven't lived life. You don't have any energy left. You don't have enough left to give, and you're wearing yourself thin unless you prioritize rest. So God sets it up as an example and then makes it a commandment. One of the top 10 commandments is 10 of the 10 commandments. It is one of those that we are supposed to live out, that we're supposed to follow. And so as we process what that looks like, we jump forward to the New Testament. In the New Testament, they've created all these rules to really follow rest. They've created really strict rules about what it looks like to rest, and everybody's kind of judging everybody else about what rest should look like. And they've got the amount of miles you can walk that counts past rest. If you walk past this number of miles, it's not resting anymore on that day. How much work can your donkey do? Can you ride them to the store? Can you ride your donkey to this place? Is that considered rest on your animal or not? There's all these rules, and everybody's looking towards everybody else about rest. And when they call Jesus on it, Jesus does something, they think, oh, that doesn't count. That's not following the rules of the Sabbath. Here's what Jesus says in Mark chapter 2, verse 27. It says, "Then he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath." See, the Sabbath, the day of rest, that Saturday that was set up for us to rest on, that was made for us. God designed it for us to take a break and to breathe. And so I don't want to create a whole bunch of rules on how you're supposed to rest, but I do want you to prioritize the Sabbath. Why, if God created something for us, would we not take advantage of it? Why would we not trust Him and believe that He wants what's best for us in our life and choose to trust that if He says the best thing for me to do is to rest, then I'm going to do it. If He says the best thing for me to do is to take a day and breathe and relax and to trust Him with the rest of my 6 days, to trust Him with the rest of my life, then I'm going to trust Him with that day. I'm going to stop and take a moment just to breathe. And it's not like Jesus just told us that. Jesus lived that out. Here's what it says in Luke chapter 5, verse 16. It says, "But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed." Jesus Himself, when He had a very short amount of time on earth, still stopped in the middle of the peak of His ministry. He's feeding 5,000. He's reaching all kinds of people. People are being healed. There's so many amazing things for Him to do that are good things to do. It's things that He's putting His hands to, that He's called to, that He's anointed to do. And still He pauses and withdraws often to go pray. He withdraws often to lonely places, to, I believe, rest, to get rest for His soul, to get rest for His physical body, to stop at the peak of His ministry. When everything's thriving, everything's going perfect, it's like, nope, now I need to stop. And I need to step away from the crowds. I need to step away from the chaos. I need to step away from all the voices that want something from me. And I just need to have a moment of quiet so that I can hear the voice of God, so that I can see things from a different angle, so that I can do things with the energy that God has called me to do. And so today, I want to challenge you to learn to prioritize rest. And for many of us, if we had a week number 7, we might actually talk about prioritizing work. Because 6 days we're called to work. And I would challenge you to fall in love with the work that you do, that you fall in love with what God has placed in front of you to do with your hands, whatever it is, whatever work you do, wherever you find yourself, to fall in love with being faithful to the work God has given you, to decide that no matter what your coworkers are like, you're called to be a witness to them. You're called to love them well. No matter what the job is, you're called to do it with excellence. That Scripture tells us we're supposed to do everything we do as though unto the Lord, that we fall in love with those 6 days, and then on the seventh day we fall in love with rest. That we learn to relax and trust God with the rest. So for many of us, maybe it's not about rest. Maybe it's falling in love with what God has called you to do, and that you work with that with all your heart, so that on that seventh day you really can step away and say, I trust you with the rest of it. I trust you with the break. I trust you with my 6 days. I trust that, like in the Old Testament, I trust that you're going to send the rain for the harvest, that I don't have control over every outcome. I don't have control over how everything works. I trust you. So I'm going to challenge you today to take a rest on purpose. It doesn't really count in my books if you just get sick and so then you take some time off work and that's a rest. It doesn't really count if on a Sunday you don't have anything else to do, so you don't really schedule and rest. It just kind of happens, but you're kind of chaotic and guilty because you feel like maybe you should have been doing something else. That's not really rest. In my opinion, rest is scheduled and prioritized, that it's on purpose. But then that you don't stop there. That you don't stop with just resting on purpose, but you recognize what Jesus did, and that he rested on purpose, but he rested for a purpose. So today, that you would rest for a purpose. That I believe that when you start to fall in love with the work that God has placed in your hands, and you start to fall in love with doing it with excellence, no matter what the job is, doing it to the best of your ability. And then you start to fall in love with the idea of him giving you a break and giving you a breather to see it differently, to trust him with those things, to trust him with your life, to trust him with your time, to trust that his ways are better than your ways. I believe that as you do that, it's going to challenge you to lean into him more and to trust him. And then you're going to be challenged to see your job and your life from a different perspective. That you're going to see that, man, maybe some of the things that I've been working 7 days a week on mentally and emotionally, trying to solve all the problems even on my day off, that I just stop for a moment and I realize I can't control all of that. I can't fix all of that. I have got to trust God in these areas. That in those times, if you're maybe a type A personality and you think the best way to rest is just to get it all done, I feel so much better when I check all the boxes, and really God is challenging you and telling you today, like, you can't work yourself into peace. Peace is found in God, and trusting his ways is where you're going to find peace. So all the check boxes, all the things being done, what you're going to find out, hopefully, if you haven't already found out, is that you can never get it all done. There's always one more thing to do. There's always 5 more things on the checklist. And once you get through the checklist, there's 5 more things you can add to it, because you can start back over at the beginning. Instead, we trust God that he's going to bring the rain. He's going to bring the outcome. He's going to bring the product into our lives. And what I've found, and what helps me to see rest in a different vantage point, is that I've found that I'm far more efficient when I'm rested and healthy. Right? I'm far more efficient with my time when I'm really at my best. And when I'm really at my best is whenever I'm being able to be creative and think outside the box. When I've really sat down with God for some time and had a rest and had a break for my soul even, had a moment away, I can see it from like a 30,000 foot view. I can look down and see how all the pieces fit. I can look down at the work that God has called me to do and see it from a different vantage point. I'm not just digging holes. I'm planting trees. So I can't just get focused on one thing at a time. I gotta think about the big picture. And what I found is that when I'm well rested, I'll look and see it differently. And what helps me to be encouraged to rest is I realize that I am far more efficient with 1 hour when I'm rested than I am with 4 hours when I'm exhausted. Let me say it again. I have found in my own life that I'm far more efficient with 1 hour when I'm rested than 4 hours when I'm not. So maybe that's true for you. Maybe your type A personality will have to see it from a different vantage point, that God's ways are better, and he's going to do more with me and through me if I choose to do it his ways. And he is going to get more done in my life and through my life when I rest the way that he's called me to. So today, we're going to do everything we can to be purposeful. See, at the TheBrick.Church on June 26th, we didn't meet in person. There's not a person in the building. Everybody's challenged to stay away. Go just celebrate somewhere else at another church. Go to the lake with your family. Whatever rest looks like for you, you breathe, you rest, and you celebrate that God can get it done. That God is on your side. That God can do more in you if you trust his ways. He can do more through you and get more stuff done with you when you trust the way he does it. than you can if you try to do it all on your own 7 days a week. That if you work every single day of your life without God, you will find out that you produce something that meant nothing. But if you choose to trust His ways, you will partner with God and you will see Him bear fruit in your life. So today, if that's you and you're being challenged to maybe rest, I'm going to challenge you today to not walk away without scheduling your next bit of rest. If it's too late, maybe you caught this message on Monday or Tuesday and you didn't schedule the 26th with the team, schedule a rest day. And I get it, it's difficult. I don't care what level you're at, where you're at, resting is difficult, especially at the beginning. To try to schedule it and prioritize it takes time, it takes energy, but doing it God's way is worth it. So take the time to figure out how to do it financially, to figure out how to do it cheap. If you're broke like some of us, like figuring out how to do it on a cheaper scale, to figure out how to prioritize and let people know that they can't get a hold of you that day, to figure out all of those things. It takes work, but I do think it's going to be worth it. That you will schedule it and prioritize and figure it out one step at a time until you figure out what it looks like for you to really rest and do this life and this time that we have on earth God's ways. And for others of you, maybe the idea of rest is a little bit conflicting because you're wrestling with what you believe about God. And maybe you're checking out church online for the very first time and you're thinking through, what is this church about, or what is church about, or what is Jesus about? And you're wrestling through what those ideas are. And maybe today you're finding out that God has more for you. Maybe you're checking us out at church online because you want to know if this Jesus thing is for real. And what I want to challenge you to see is that Jesus loves you so much, He's scheduled rest for you. He challenges you to rest and to breathe and to trust Him with your life. But the first step to all of that is to trusting Him with everything. Not just one day a week, but your whole life. With your finances, with your time, with your family, with your relationships, with everything in your life. He says, if you'll trust me, I've got a better way. I've got a way that leads to love and joy and peace and patience and kindness. I've got a way that is more fulfilling than all the work you can do on earth on your own. And if that's you and you've never made the decision to follow Jesus with your life, I would pray and challenge you that today, maybe that very day, that you decide to follow Him and find out that He gives you an eternal rest. An eternal rest where you learn that you have full peace and confidence that God is for you, not against you. What that means is if you're there at home, and I don't care if you're driving down the road listening to this or you're somewhere else watching this, wherever you're at, it just means that you call out to Him and you tell Him, Jesus, I'm ready to follow you. I trust that you're the Son of God and that you died on the cross for my sins, and I trust that I can follow you, and I give you my whole life. I commit to following you with my whole life. And if you made that decision and you spoke that out loud today, it says that you are a follower of Christ and that Jesus has saved you.
If that's you and you're ready to make that decision for the first time, and we are so excited for you, what I would love for you to do is a real simple next step, and that is to text the number on the screen, the phrase, I have decided. And what that does, it lets us know that you're ready to make that decision, to trust Jesus with your life. And as a church, we stand ready to celebrate you like crazy. We don't only just want to celebrate you, we want to come and be a part of everything God's called you to be. We'd love to answer any questions about what it means to follow Jesus, or how to get connected to the Brick Church, or what your next steps as a believer might be. We would love for you to text us so we can connect with you and help you understand, like, as a community, we love you like crazy. We want to say is thank you so much for everybody who's tuned in today, for coming to be a part of Live at 5. We love you like crazy, and remember, whoever finds God finds life.